薄いのアホ。
プリズムパワーメイクアップカードレディー。
Welcome to Shojo and Tell, where we discuss shoujo manga and tell who's hot and who's not, talk about themes, and just generally geek out. Today, September 12th, 2021, we'll be shoujo and telling about the series SP Baby by Maki Enjoji. I'm your host, Asher McDonald, and I'm joined by Asher Sofman. Hello, Asher.
Hello, Ashley.
Yeah, put that extra emphasis on the different second syllable there.
Yes.
Asher, who be you?
I am your, the person that makes all your food and does your bidding, manual labor out in the yard, tilling the fields.
Yes. I thought you were going to say you were my fiance, but okay. I mean,
oh,
cool,
yeah,
cool.
that too.
That too. Cool. Chill. You're a person who's here when I'm like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? Do a little filler episode here of a 2-volume manga by the same author of the manga that I did before this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the
you.
easiest person to schedule in your life.
I mean, truly, I'm not gonna lie. Supply chain issues are starting to perhaps affect this podcast. So, I already have SP Baby. It's just chilling on my bookshelf. So here we go. Yeah, in general, why are we doing this 2-volume series? Yeah, well, the previous episode was An Incurable Case of Love, which is also by Maki Enjoji. And I had mentioned that the only Enjoji manga I had read was SP Baby because, yeah, it's 2 volumes and I had both of them. And I've been real bad at scheduling things lately. Not that I don't have plans. I have big plans, you guys. But you are going to love everything that comes out after SP Baby. I swear, or at least I hope, because the supply chain issues are for real, which isn't so bad when manga is available digitally. Like, whatever, I'll just buy a digital version. I don't really care. But some things you can't do that. I'm just like, oh, the struggle is real. So I'm doing this easy thing with Asher, and that's what we're doing. All right. Asher, what is SP Baby about?
SP Baby is about a young woman named Tamaki who is desperately trying to find a full-time job.
Relatable.
Yeah, God.
Millennials.
Yeah. She's on her way to an interview when she sees a man being pursued by this other man trying to get away from him. And she's like, oh no, I have to do something. And she kicks the pursuer in the face.
As is only natural.
This is a totally normal reaction to have. It turns out that it was just some rich guy. Kagetora, the one pursued, is so impressed with her skill that he decides to hire her as a bodyguard because he's the prime minister's nephew. And that's about the sum of that's the premise.
And it's really what drives the manga is her being like, hey, I don't like you romantically, this is a job, and him being like, you're funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And since this is only 2 volumes, it's kind of hard to talk about without spoiling things. So I'm going to give you the spoiler warning right now. If you have not read SP Baby, you probably don't want to listen to the rest of this episode, or you do, because who cares about SP Baby? I don't know. That's like, those are your 2 options here, all right? I don't know. Or you've read SP Baby and you're like, wow, somebody's bothering to talk about SP Baby. Yeah, that's what this podcast is for. That's who we are. Yeah, so this series is available from Viz Media physically and digitally, so you don't have to worry about them supply chain issues if you are willing to read some digital mangas. Yeah, all right. So Asher, real hard question here. Did you like this series?
I did end up enjoying it more than I thought I would after the initial chapter or couple chapters. Bodyguard romance is a trope I do actually like.
Okay.
In theory.
In theory, okay. You like them
there's
power balance.
I do. It's a good. It's a rich trope. Like, how does the bodyguard feel about their charge? How long have they known each other? What are these feelings of protection? What is one's place? Is this person who can hire a bodyguard? Like, what are their obligations to other people? Like, that's all usually very fun for me. The fact that, like, Tamaki is sort of forced into this position on multiple levels. Like, financially, she needs the money. This Kagetora's just super pushy about it. He has
Super pushy.
Yeah. So, like, his refusal to take no for an answer made me very uncomfortable, and never really went away.
Yeah, there's no punishment, and he doesn't learn anything.
No, he doesn't learn anything. So that's unfortunate. On the other hand, like, it's still fun to read, like, except for him,
Yeah. Like, it's an easy read, and you're like, okay, it's enjoyable to, like, I think that Tamaki is thoroughly enjoyable to me. It's just Kagetora that's annoying. Like, a bunch of side characters are also fun, in my opinion. But yeah, Kagetora just does not know how to accept boundaries. Ever.
Yeah. Anybody's boundaries.
Yeah, truly. Just any boundaries ever set, and, like, whatever, we'll get into it, but just, like, the reason that he gives for liking Tamaki, it's like, you didn't really learn from anything from her like you said you did.
Yeah.
And that's cool, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoy Tamaki's, like, extreme form of accountability, even if it ends up sometimes coming out as inappropriate jokes, like in the beginning when she kicks Mike in the face while he's pursuing Kagetora. Afterwards, she, like, assumes stuff about the situation where she was like, no, I'm sorry. He's like, you ripped your skirt, let me replace it for you. And she's like, no, it was my fault for interfering with a gay lover's quarrel. And it's like, okay, I mean, that's funny, but also, like, all right, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's just like that about everything. She's just like, it's my fault and I'm sorry and let me deal with it on my own. And everybody's like, what?
Well, and then the reason for that is, like, trauma. Okay, trauma makes you unreasonable in certain situations that trigger your trauma. And it's like, all right, that makes sense. No wonder she thinks she's cursed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we can get into, there's a lot of random stuff crammed into these 2 volumes, and it is not super explored. So Tamaki ends up being this way because she has, like, an uber tragic backstory, actually. Like,
yeah.
Though you are told initially that her parents died when, her and her younger brother were fairly young. And so now she has to take care of her younger brother, but she struggles to get a job. So she has a part-time job. She doesn't have a full-time job. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to, like, pay for him to go to college. And he's like, you're being ridiculous. I can just go somewhere on a scholarship. And she's like, no, I will do the thing. And it's going to be great. Like, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. But we find out even later that she had a younger sister who, when they went to the beach one time, she was like, let's go play in the ocean. And her younger brother, Taishi, was like, no, I don't want to go in there. It's scary. And they were like, he sucks, basically. And then they went and they played in the ocean, but I guess it was rough that day. So the sister ends up drowning. And of course, Tamaki blames herself, one, for, like, pushing her sister, like making fun of Taishi for being afraid when it was perfectly logical apparently, and also for her inability to save her sister, obviously.
Yeah, no, she's great. She understands boundaries and tries to set them. And
she tries very hard to set them.
She tries so hard. Sometimes she's stupid about it in the way that this is a rom-com. It's like, okay. So in some ways, her perfectly reasonable attempt to set boundaries is, made into a joke.
Yeah.
But, she's actually got, I was about to say she has a pretty good head on her shoulders, but no. She has a hero complex. She cannot stop herself from leaping in to save people, even though it always turns out poorly.
Yeah.
And you know what? I am, in fact, drawn to those types of characters.
Yeah.
You see them a lot more in shonen, I think.
Yeah, like there is something about Tamaki that's like kind of refreshing. Like I feel like normally I don't know. Like trauma response can go usually to like they're just wholly unfunctioning people, right? Like but Tamaki's trying like so hard to be a functional person. Like
yeah.
like
trying too hard and it makes her a dysfunctional person.
Yeah, but like she's just like she's not in bed depressed like being like, oh, if I didn't make dinner for Taishi, or like I skipped my part-time job, like she's like, I am gonna do all the things. Like, I'm gonna do them.
Yeah. I'm gonna run away and try to get room from this loan shark and not be a bodyguard because the situation is untenable.
Yes. I'm gonna run away. Taishi's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing though?
Taishi has a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah. Oh, I like Taishi. I know that Asher, I don't think you read this manga,
I
but
did not.
I think that I like him in the same way that I like Daiki in House of the Sun, but not as intensely because this manga is not the quality or the length of House of the Sun.
What does that mean?
Like Daiki is a very straight-laced character, but then like the heroine always makes him be like kind of a rage monster, like, why are you like this? And like that's kind of how he is to his sister. Like he's like, I'm just a good kid trying to go to school and be too cool for you, and like whatever, I'm a dork and I wear glasses. But like he just like has his own little meltdowns and freakouts and is like, what?
Yes. No, he's great. He's a good character, good supportive character. Like a bastion of reasonableness in a rom-com. You need a character like that.
Yeah, in a sea of unreasonable people.
And it's great because he's also the youngest character and he literally cannot take care of things because he's a minor,
Yeah.
So it's great. It's great. He's refreshing within the context of the manga, right? Like, I guess he's a refreshing character in real life too, I guess, if we took him out of his context, but that's not the point of him.
He doesn't understand that he's in a rom-com. He's like, why is this happening? Why?
He's like, why can't you behave like normal real people, not rom-com characters?
Yeah. And they're like, because we're in a rom-com. And he's like, but why? You could just change the story.
What if you just used your words on your phone and yeah.
And they're like, no, no, absolutely not. I guess we should also mention that Maki Enjoji wrote in they weren't even like side panels. It was like the one time she got to write notes in this manga. In the first volume, I guess she was like, I'm pregnant. And then she goes on maternity leave between the two volumes.
Right.
And I think that explains a lot.
Yeah, she mentioned, she was like, I don't know what happened to this like unimportant thing that happens in the last chapter of the first volume. She's like, yeah, I don't even, who knows what happened to that? Doesn't matter. Let's move on.
The first volume ends with like Christmas or something.
Yeah.
And Tamaki, like Tora had given her a present, and she's like, oh, I have to give him a present, and she's just like, it doesn't matter.
She didn't get to give her other present to the boy she likes, Natsuo.
Yeah, she didn't give a present to Natsu, and it's just Maki Enjoji's just like, it doesn't matter anymore.
It's summer now. We're not revisiting this. We're not.
Don't think about it. It's like, okay, I won't.
All right, speaking of boys Tamaki likes, what about Kagetora, also known as Tora? They all have cat-themed nicknames. Tama is a common name for a cat. Mike is also a common name for a pet cat. Tora means tiger, even though his full name is Kagetora. So what about Tora?
As we said, he sucks. Also, he has his weird backstory is that, well, he has many layers of weird backstory. But the first one is that he does not feel pain, like physical pain or pleasure, except when he kisses Tamaki. He's like, oh, I felt things. And it's like, oh, shut up.
It's not just with the kisses. It's like when Tamaki interacts with him, he feels things. Otherwise, the world is a void of meaning.
All right. His theme song is also Anti-Everything then by the Lost Kings.
He's not anti-everything. It just doesn't matter to him. He's indifferent.
All right. Okay. He's indifferent. Yeah. And so I'm just like, the only other time I've encountered this trope, like I forget, it does have a technical name that she mentioned in a side note, is that I'm like, oh yeah, a character in one of them Girl with the Dragon Tattoo books had this, and it led to some very scarring things for me. I was like, I didn't mean to read that.
Yeah.
And that's all I think about.
Yeah, fair. I didn't read those. I couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh boy, the traumatic flashbacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, I don't want to portray Kagetora as this like stoic, serious face, like nothing matters kind of guy.
No.
That's not what he is. Like he's sort of a goof off, like, oh, nothing matters, so whatever.
Yeah.
kind of
so
guy.
Who cares? Like, I don't need to respect boundaries.
Yeah.
It don't matter. It's like, okay. The other weird part of his backstory is that, like, him and Tamaki went to the same high school, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Briefly, before Tamaki's parents died and she left school. So they had one interaction and Tora fell in love from that, and Tamaki doesn't even remember, which I think is great.
It's pretty good.
So it was like she was having an argument with some girls because they were like, you led one of our friends' boyfriend, like you hung out with a boyfriend of our friend, and that sent confusing messages. And you shouldn't have done that. And she's like, well, he came to me for help, so I tried to help him. Like, it's not, I don't like him that way. It's not, this is a misunderstanding, a willful misunderstanding on all of, like, your parts and everything. And, like, I'm not going to not help people just because you misunderstand a situation. But Tora is obviously like, why do you care? Just like, don't help people. And she's like, what? That's ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then he's just like, wow, a try hard, basically.
Yeah.
I'm so in awe. And he says that he like learned how to be more empathetic and stuff from her. And it's like, no, I have not seen any evidence of that.
Yeah. It seemed that perhaps before this encounter, he wasn't goofy and he was some stoic, aloof.
Like he was an emo
yeah,
brat.
Yeah. Maybe. And now he's like trying, but since he has no like emotional feedback, maybe it doesn't work so well, but he's trying.
Okay.
Wow,
we give him the benefit of the doubt.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Just for that, though.
Only that. Everything else is garbage.
No, he still doesn't respect like he's not as bad as he could be, right? Like I've seen worse, but I'm not endeared to him. Yeah, no.
We've all seen worse, probably. Like,
yeah,
he is not like among like the garbage bin of Shojo or Josei male leads here. Like, let's be clear.
He's all right, but like as far as that goes, right? Like,
yeah,
Tamaki could have done better.
Oh yeah. Well, do you think she ever had a chance with Natsu?
No.
Oh. So Natsu is her like childhood best friend who runs a flower shop. He's basically a perfect man boy.
Yes.
A soft boy. He's a soft boy.
He's a soft boy. He's perfect. He has a fiance.
He has a fiance that he didn't tell her about. That's kind of a mean move.
Yeah. Because he was like, I'm going to move away, and then when I do, who's going to take care of them? But I can't, like, tell her that. I can't face it. Which is weak.
Weak. Not a perfect boy after all.
No. Which I think was maybe part of the problem, is she had him on a pedestal, and he probably knew it. I think he did know it, which is why he had such a hard time telling her, like, hey, I'm leaving you for another woman, basically. Yeah, so, no, he's boring, and, you know, like, I do also love the childhood friends to lovers trope, and it would have been nice, but, like, it's true, he didn't show any interest in her like that.
No, he definitely treated her like a little sister or something.
Yeah. Or like a friend, even. Like,
you can't have mixed gendered friendships.
Yes, you can. Like a childhood friend, like, oh, and like all her family is dead, and I'm here, and I have this space that she can, like, yeah. I think he would have been much more comfortable telling her things if she
wasn't such a trauma mess.
No, if she had treated him like a friend and not
her savior.
Yeah, exactly. Even if she had a chance, I don't think she should have taken it. Or I don't think he should have taken it, because they're a relationship founded on you saved me is complex, you know?
Yeah.
In some ways, it's sort of the same with Tora, right? Like, he saved her from poverty and searching for a job, and we're uncomfortable with that too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in his case, he argues that she also, like, helped him, though, right? Like,
right. And it does not seem that Natsuo... His full name is Natsuo, I think, but he has a nickname, as almost everyone in this manga does.
I don't even pay attention.
Yeah. It does seem that Natsu doesn't get anything out of his relationship with Tamaki. Like, except friendship. Which is great. Yeah. But, like, that's not what she's getting from him.
Yeah. She's getting, like, everything from him.
Yeah. Anyway. Also, Tora has a fiance, so in some ways this is a very similar situation. It's just Natsu is not pushy and is not pushing this relationship on her, and in fact is sort of like keeping himself distant from it. I think there's no way he didn't know she had a crush on him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's that oblivious, he's that, like, character archetype, but in the real world, he would have known.
He totally knows, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Or at least he has... It's like there are ways that people don't notice things, right?
Sure.
But, like, usually you're not doing stuff in a vacuum, right? So, like, if they had any mutual friends, their friends would have been like, hey.
Yeah.
What's up with you two?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And it's like, Tora noticed that she liked Natsu and Natsu didn't like her, and he, like, didn't know them. And if Tora, who feels nothing, can tell that, like, come on.
Oh yeah, that page where Tora, they're like near Natsu's flower shop and Natsu can see them, and Tora like hugs her and is like glaring at Natsu or whatever, like staring at Natsu like sadly. That's like the most dramatic shoujo crap that happens in this manga. I was like, ooh, I like it.
I didn't.
I'm here for it.
We like very different things, it's true. Anyway, yeah. I think I would have liked her getting together with Natsu even less than her getting together with Tora.
Whoa, dang.
He's boring!
Whoa, that is a hot freaking take.
That's how I feel.
All right, I can accept it, I guess. All right, wow. Okay, the only other character of note is Mike, who is Tora's OG bodyguard, and he's great because he's funny.
He's great. He doesn't mean to be funny, ever, at all.
Yeah.
He's very, very serious. Yes, he's hilarious. He's the long-suffering babysitter.
Me.
He's the babysitter. He's you?
His attitude of like, she sucks, just leave her. He just says what he feels, and everybody's like, you're so funny. Can't take you seriously.
Aww. Does that make me Tora? I don't like that.
I don't like that. Aww.
I'm Natsu. Come on. I'm boring.
All right, you're not. You hate yourself now.
Boring. I would own a flower shop.
I would.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, are we just gonna plant a bunch of flowers in our backyard that's currently overgrown? No.
I mean, I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, but I'd still rather have vegetables. But then I was like, though. I was thinking about the bees, but you don't want bees in our backyard.
Anyway, so you like Tora and Tamaki better than Tamaki and Natsu, but does that mean that you're okay with the ship?
Oh, I'm not really, but I also am like, obviously this was inevitable and it's not as bad as it could be. Sort of how I feel about it. It's like,
yeah,
she tried very hard to establish boundaries, and maybe he'll respect some of those. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think part of the problem also is Tamaki, as much as she tries to set boundaries, she's not good at maintaining them at all. So, yeah. No, I'm not. This is not my favorite ship ever. No.
Tora's also making some weird life choices and sacrifices at the end. Like his uncle is the prime minister, so he's like, all right, now I have to go into politics, even though he doesn't really want to, because he has to get out of his arrangement with like his fiance or whatever.
Yeah, because she's like, I could never marry a politician. He's like, oh, is that all I have to do to get out of my marriage with you? All right.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll be prime minister. It's like, okay.
It's like, what? I also, like, doesn't Japan have elections? It's not like...
Yeah, but as far as I understand it, politics are still very family-driven. It's sort of like the Kennedys over here.
No, like the Kennedys and the Clintons and the Bushes or whatever.
The Bushes, for sure, yeah. Yeah, like, it's a... remember in Princess Jellyfish, the Koibuchis, it's like a family of politicians. So, like, that's still a thing.
That's still a thing in Japan. All right.
Yeah.
Fine. Well, it's still a thing here, too. But I don't know.
It's still a thing everywhere.
They just made it seem like, so naturally he will become prime minister. And I'm like, I don't know. He still has to, like...
Yeah.
Be elected to that.
Yeah, but it's easier to get those votes if you have a campaign run by people that already know how to campaign, who have money, who have connections. Like, I think it's just sort of more understood in Japan, like, oh yeah, this is kind of hereditary. Like, in a way that we don't like to acknowledge here in the States.
Yeah, we like to pretend it's not.
Yeah, but it is.
But it is. But it's not. America. Okay.
America.
So the only other thing I wanted to note is a funny thing is that, okay, so Volume 1 is much stronger about this. Volume 1, the cover is Tamaki and Tora, like, falling, I guess, they're sideways. So, like, but there's no background or anything. So they're just kind of like in this liminal space. And Tamaki is on top. And Tora has a little smug looking face, being like, yep, I'm pulling her closer to me. But she's like,
she's protecting
pulling her hand
him.
out, like, protecting him from something. And that's obviously not the situation he has in his head.
Or even if it is, he's like, I don't care.
He's like, I don't care. Exactly. Every time I pick up this volume, again, Tamaki's on top. That's the correct way to pick it up. Every time I pick up this volume, I'm like, no, Tora on top.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, that's what it is. That's
which
what
says
it is.
a lot more about me than it does about this manga. You're welcome, everybody. All right, that's SP, baby. Can't wait to do this outro where you hear what I have planned next. Okay. Thanks for listening to Shojo and Tell. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, concerns? Need to gush about your OTP? Email shoujoandtell@gmail.com or leave a comment on the episode's YouTube page. We're at Shojo and Tell on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. Asher, can people find you on the internet?
I guess I'm spending a little time on Twitter these days, so I'm at Asher Dashery on Twitter, but you're not really gonna interact with me. That's not how this works.
Yeah. Mostly Asher just retweets things that I tweeted of, like, himself bragging about how he won spelling bees in 5th and 4th grade or whatever.
At different schools.
In different schools, alright. Okay, alright. No more bragging. Are you excited every time you see a new episode from us? If so, please consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts. This will help the podcast reach more hearts, or at least ears. Thanks again for listening. Wait for it, you guys. We'll be back next time for The Rose of Versailles by Ryuko Ikeda. At least that's the hope. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still waiting for Volume 5, so please come Volume 5 in time for me to read it in the scheduled time. Alright, the supply chain might be messing this up. If not, then I'm gonna try to do Takane and Hana. Also pretty big. I actually kind of like Takane and Hana, I'm not gonna lie.
Speaking of problematic ships.
Problematic ships right here, oh boy. Here we go. That age gap romance with an extreme power imbalance. Takane and Hana. Alright, the point is something bigger and better than SP Baby is happening to you next time. Until then, bye.
Bye.